edition of ATL Prime Sports. Todd Corder here in Atlanta, along with my sidekick JJ on the other side of the ATL, and of course our producer Wayne in Memphis, Tennessee. Guys, how are you this evening?
Well, it's hot and humid here in Memphis, and I got treated to a little bit of it cutting grass this morning, so I have lost all my water weight.
And JJ, he's doing great, as he said, and I'm glad you lost your water weight there in Memphis, Wayne, and I think I've lost my water weight here in Atlanta, too. All right, guys, just to let us know, you can get a hold of us all on social media at ATL Prime Sports on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can get a hold of JJ at JJ Get You One. You can get a hold of Wayne at RWY Jr., and you get a hold of myself at Corder, Todd, Corder. So what's on tap, guys, tonight? We're going to have a great show. We're going to talk about name, image, and likeness talk. We're going to kind of give our opinions on top of what Dave Cohen did last week. We're actually going to rank UGA quarterback J.T. Daniels. One publication has him 23rd, one has him 9th. Honestly, I don't think it makes any difference. And also, we're also gonna go to our no huddle segment. We've got a neat no huddle segment tonight, and that's basically what's going on. Guys, I didn't really talk to you very much, even though we had a show on Friday. It's nice to be back in the saddle, just with the three of us. We'll have another show on Friday live at 1 p.m. Eastern on Blog Talk Radio. That's blogtalkradio.com, 1347-205-9631. We may or may not have a guest. We'll see. I'm working on that as we speak. All right, guys, let's go ahead and go to our first topic. It is name, image, and likeness. It is Chalk Talk here on ATL Prime Sports. And you know what? If I can start this off, and then JJ, you go, and then Wayne. You know, I was on Twitter today. I try not to get on it very often, but there are some interesting things on it. Amy Dash, she tweeted out on her account from Sports Talk Jake ATL, which, you know, Sports Talk ATL Jake. Missouri's new name, image, likeness bill is very interesting. Boosters are allowed to set up NIL endorsements for student athletes. Something is strictly prohibited in most states. That, to me, is where I'd like to start off the discussion. You know, we're going to have to get the kinks out of this thing. And this is definitely a kink in the hose, so to speak, because you're going to have boosters set this up in some states, and boosters in most states are not allowed. That's going to be a huge advantage somewhere along the way. God forbid, please, Congress and the government do not get involved. You know, let's let the people that run college sports get involved. Oh, no, not them neither, not the NCAA. Wait a minute, I got a guy, but he won't do it. That would be Tim Brando. But he's not going to do it either. So it's going to have to be the college presidents. They're going to have to get together along with the athletic directors and probably some representatives from their particular state to work it out. But please, I'll say it again, please, no federal government / Washington, D.C. That'll just make it a bigger problem than it already is. What are your thoughts on this, JJ? And then, Wayne, what are your thoughts on this little part of name, image, and likeness? Because like I said, I think we'll get the kinks out. It'll be okay. There's going to be a lot of trial and error. But this is really good for the kids. You know, they do deserve a piece of the pie. I don't know how many kids are going to get the piece of the pie. That will be yet to be determined. And you know, the bigger schools are going to have the advantages over the smaller schools. Is it going to widen the gap? I have no clue. But JJ, your thoughts on the Missouri NIL?
Well, like you said, every state's going to be different. You know, the bottom line of the NCAA will still stand. The school itself cannot pay the athlete. So it's still going to be up to boosters. And then, like you said, it's up to each and every state. There's about a dozen plus states that have already had NIL likenesses come in place. Georgia's one of those states. It's completely legal to basically do within the rules of the NCAA to your. I think there's a couple of exceptions in the state of Georgia with like gun, alcohol, tobacco, things. Texas, you can do a gun, and there's already been a local kid who's spoken for a gun ship, as far as I saw for some local reports. I don't know how true that is, but that's out there from Texas. Then you go down to Miami. Every single scholarship athlete on the University of Miami Hurricanes now has an endorsement deal where a mega company gave them $540,000 to the team itself, to every individual player. And you'll have to go look that up, folks. I can't remember what company it was off the top of my head. So it's really going to go from state to state, kind of like you said, TC. I hope the government doesn't get involved with this, as you stated. This would be a great situation for a commissioner or a czar for college football to kind of govern the rules. But again, we don't have one right now. So you're right, TC. It is going to be up to the presidents. And I know it's pretty much a repeat of what you said, but you basically nailed the head right there, the nail on the head. I mean, everything's going to be divided by state and presidents and honestly by athletes. So there's no limit. Nix, the quarterback for Auburn, signed with Milo's Sweet Tea. A lot of guys have already become millionaires. De'Aaron King, the quarterback, former Houston Cougars quarterback, now down at Miami, he's got several deals lined up in place. So it's really just going to matter up to the athlete, which players market themselves, which players are able to do athlete part. Obviously, the student athlete's two things, and then their business ability. So that's going to really be the underlying factor in all this is what states allow what, and how does it get policed over the period of the years. TC, that's about all I got to say.
Well, this situation, like I said, it's going to have legs. It's going to grow. It's going to create other legs. It's going to branch out. You're going to have several branches. A lot of this is going to be trial and error. But, Wayne, as I go to you, I think college sports is still going to be the same in terms of the competition on the field. I don't think it changes anything like that. A lot of folks are concerned out there that, somebody's going to be all about their brand and not on the field. And, I could hear a guy like Nick Saban going, you know what? If you're about your brand and you're not going to perform on the field, you won't be here. You won't have a brand. And, we'll come up with another name for name, English, image, and likeness, like not for long, like the NFL. So what are your thoughts on it? Because I think it'll work. It's just going to take a lot of kinks, one problem at a time. Let the kids get an advantage. Let them have their money. Let them move on. What are your thoughts?
Are you asking me, Todd?
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm going to tell you that in this entire fight, there are two entities who I think are approaching this thing with a lot of greed. I think you've got the universities on one hand who want to keep all of the money flowing from name, image, likeness of not just athletes, but of the school logo. And then you have athletes who feel like this is a big payday for them, that they can all of a sudden make as much money as their NFL counterparts. What I think is going to happen is the schools are going to stop marketing, selling, or having any type of merchandise that has student name, image, or likeness on it. And the only thing that's going to be affected by this, as far as having to pay a student athlete, is going to be video games. Because there are a lot of video games that like to come up with college sports and have name, image, and likeness of the actual players within the video game. And so they may have to pay the players, but then the student athletes are going to have to pretty much have a business plan, a CPA, or some sort of way that they can pay their taxes on that and be incorporated as some sort of company or corporation. because the only other way they could do it is if they sign with an agent to manage all that. And I think that would be a violation of them being a amateur athlete.
Interesting points there. Very interesting. Wow. I'm not so sure. I still think the jerseys are still going to be marketed as normal. You're going to have a player's number on the jersey, so I'm assuming the player will get a portion of that proceed. I'm not really sure how they're going to do that. You're still going to have jerseys and all the other stuff is going to be the same, but what are they going to do? I think social media is going to help out these kids greatly. I'm just hoping that women get the same opportunity as men, and I think they will, but not right away. I think you're going to see it come on a bigger scale for men than you are for women, and as the time goes, I think it will catch up with the women. I think the men will have the advantage because football is the first sport that's going to get the true test of NIL, and then that's the big sport right there. So we shall see that. We're out of time. Let's go to our next topic, if we can, please. George, speaking of football, Georgia quarterback J.T. Daniels is ranked 23rd in Pro Football Focus and 9th on SportingNews.com. Which rating are you going with? And I'm going to go with JJ on this one. Tell me what rating. You're the Georgia guy. You love JT. I think he throws a wonderful deep ball. I think there's a lot of potential. Georgia's got a lot of pressure on this year. They are the favorite, not only in the SEC, but possibly the favorite to win the national title.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm leaning more towards the SportingNews.com ranking. Look, JT Daniels isn't your typical 4 games under his belt with a freshman season at USC transfer. This guy is an elite athlete. Again, he played at USC. He started his sophomore year where his ACL was torn, basically missed the COVID year, 2 years, and then he played again 4 games in the COVID year. Look, I think he's the best returning starter in the SEC, if you ask me. 1,200 yards in 4 games, 10 touchdowns. Let's equate that and do some math throughout 12 games of the season. That's 3,600 plus yards. That's around 30 touchdowns. That's around 6 to 8 INTs. You'll take that as a Georgia fan any day. And I don't know if there's anybody in the SEC, yet alone the country, that's going to give you those types of numbers. Sure, you can go, sure, he didn't play LSU or Alabama, but he did play Cincinnati and he did play 4 games in the SEC. So I personally think, look, I think Daniels is around the 9th best quarterback in the country. I think that's pretty accurate. There's some other good returning quarterbacks in the SEC, like Matt Corral and Ole Miss. You have the guy. You have West Virginia's quarterback. There's some good quarterbacks coming around. But I think this guy is well-rounded. He waited till he was fully healthy. And 10.3 yards per pass attempts, that's pretty good. 10.3 yards per pass, and again, you do that over 12 games, that will arguably be one of Georgia's best quarterbacks in history if he does those same numbers through 12 games, yet alone the college football playoff. You could talk about 4,500 yards passing. So, look, I think JT Daniels is a lot better than Pro Football Focus is giving him credit for, and has him a lot more to my liking and where he should be ranked.
Honestly, these rankings, they're subjective to anyone's opinion, so there is no right or wrong answer. But, the highest rated quarterback in the Southeastern Conference, without a doubt, is Matt Corral of Ole Miss. And guess what? Lane Kiffin's got the top returning quarterback in this conference, and he led all offense last season, had twice as many touchdowns as his interceptions. He averaged around 40 points a game. So I can't wait to see what he does. They have him ranked above TJ, but here's the thing. With Daniels, it's all going to be about the personnel around him, as it is for any quarterback. Georgia, to me, is going to take more deep shots down the field this year with J.T. throwing the football than it normally will do. I think it's going to be a lot running the football, setting it up with a play-action pass, and start throwing it deep. That's Georgia's. That should be Georgia's bread and butter. It should be a very exciting team as long as the offensive line comes together and gels. They're set at tailback. They're solid at wide receiver. They're solid at tight end. Everything is in place for JT to become successful as long as he can stay healthy. So, can he stay healthy? I mean, he coming off them injuries when he was at USC. We're going to find out. And it'll be up to that offensive line for Georgia to keep him healthy. It's a long season. A lot on Georgia this year, man. A lot of people think that this is it. But all Alabama does is reload. We'll see how the Gators do. It's an interesting topic for sure. Let's go on to our next topic here. Let's see. That actually, JJ, I'm going to let you take that over. Actually, it's our no huddle time here on ATL Prime Sports. So go ahead and you take the no huddle away.
Let's run the no huddle. Yeah, let's run the no huddle. Let's run the no huddle headlines here, folks. Finish out the show. It's a good one. We all know that Richard Sherman was arrested in the early morning of Monday to Tuesday. Free agent cornerback Richard Sherman was arrested and booked for burglary, domestic violence. This charge could be a felony. He was denied bail, which is standard procedure for domestic violence, by the way. I learned that. A 911 male family member who didn't live at the residence was trying to force his way into the home. Was injured, and the investigation is ongoing. So right now, Richard Sherman, no criminal charges. The vice president of the NFL Players Association has not yet been criminally charged. So that is the first headline of the evening. Guys, any quick thoughts on the Richard Sherman arrest? Kind of shocked me.
I would say hire a good attorney and either work out a good deal or go to trial.
Mm-hmm. Guys, my video's going in and out here.
This is an awful bad eye for the NFL. I mean, this is a bad eye. I mean, this is Richard Sherman. He's played 10 years in the league. He just completed his
Super Bowl
third season with the Niners after 7 seasons in Seattle. I mean, Sherman is a vice president of the NFL Players Association Executive Committee, and now he's faced with this. It's a bad eye for the NFL. This is not good. The legal process will come out. I noticed here from Amy Dash, who's been a guest on the show, that Richard Sherman's wife Ashley Moss told the Seattle Times he didn't harm anybody. My kids were not harmed in the incident. He's a good person, and this is not his character. We're doing all right just to get him out. I want people to know no one was injured. Well, who knows what's going to happen? At this point, I have no clue. It's unpredictable. We'll have to let the legal process play out. But right now, the Legion of Doom or Legion of Boom is going to look like the Legion of Doom. This is not good. And
correct.
It
is not a good look. It is not a good look for the NFL right now. Let's move on to our second no huddle headline. Major League All-Star Game uniforms, yes or no? TCU first.
Absolutely no. N-O. I was conversing last night on Twitter with John U. Bacon. I think the uniforms are hideous. I think that I like the Chico bail bonds uniforms and the Little League movie there much better than I do these uniforms. They're absolutely hideous, man. And the Bad News Bears, I'd rather watch. Like I said, I'd rather see the Chico bail bonds uniforms in the movie The Bad News Bears than see these uniforms. I mean, they look like something that you would go to a Little League ballpark near you on a Saturday morning for a tournament where teams wearing all blue and one team's wearing all red, or in this case all white. Please go back to wearing the normal Major League Baseball uniforms, and we all know why they did it. We all know why. It always comes back to the money. It's all about the money. It's all about marketing and the money to get people to buy these uniforms. But I tell you what, you wouldn't catch me in these uniforms. If you paid me, I would put one on. But that's the only way that I would do it.
I actually like the uniforms. I think next year they should focus more on the team's logo instead of the logo being small and kind of secondary on the hat. I like to enlarge logo of, like, let's say the Atlanta Brave A or the Braves across the chest, something like that incorporated, I think would be cool. But I did like the spin that everybody had a uniform. And most of all, I enjoyed seeing the number of stars on the back of the jerseys to represent how many All-Star games they have played in. I thought that was a really cool touch. Wayne, I'll ask you, yes or no on the All-Star game uniforms?
Well, because the importance of the All-Star game has been thrown out the window, I can't remember how far back. I really do not care about that.
Wasn't too far.
I don't like the dog and pony show. When it used to matter, when it used to determine the home field advantage, for the World Series, I watched the All-Star game and I cared. But now I really don't care.
Hey, good points. I like it all the way around.
Hey, JJ, can I say something?
Sure.
I mean, I won't say it's a dog and pony show, but what you mentioned about the stars and all that, that's what Little League kids get. When they get an award and they make a good play, they put a star in the back of their hat. These are not kids. I mean, these are professional baseball players. Their uniforms should look professional, bottom line.
Hey, I mean, everybody's got their own opinion. I think the stars were a cool touch. I mean, if you're trying to get little leaguers and everybody involved from top to bottom, that's how you do it. Let's move on to our last no-huddle headline. We're going back to a Georgia boy, one of my favorite Georgia quarterbacks of all time, Matthew Stafford, ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th on Bleacher Report's Gridiron. Good ranking or bad ranking? I'll start this one off. I'm going to say good for right now. I think it'll be higher at the end of the regular season. Look, whether you like it or not, Stafford sits 16th all-time on the passing list right now and climbing. With the 4,250-yard season, Stafford can pass Warren Moon and become the 12th all-time leading passer, right behind his old division leader, Aaron Rodgers. Matt Stafford can play ball, folks. I think he might be the NFC champion this year. He may represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. I'm saying that right now. And he can very well do it. He's got head coach Sean McVay, who had Jared Goff get 4,600-plus yards twice. So, yes, Matt Stafford ranked 6 on Bleacher Report's Gridiron. Might be kind of low when you ask me at the end of the season. TC, what do you think?
Look, we all know about Stafford's career with the Detroit Lions in 12 seasons. They made the playoffs 3 times. They didn't win a playoff game. But here's the situation. A quarterback is only as good as his personnel. They never had a 1,000-yard rusher in his entire career in Detroit. Reggie Bush came the closest with 9 and change. And a 16-game season. They couldn't run the football. They had Megatron. They used him to death. He decided to retire early like Barry Sanders. My goodness. And the Lions, the defenses they had, they were mediocre at best through those years. You and of course he had the back issue there in Detroit towards the end of his career with the Lions. Fast forward to the Rams, it's all about personnel. He's got a great running back. He's got a good offensive line. He's got two good wide receivers and a solid tight end. And, oh, by the way, he's got one of the best defenses in the NFL. This guy is set to succeed with Sean McVay and company, and the Rams will be a top 3 team in the NFC, along with Tampa Bay, and Green Bay, and Aaron Rodgers is coming back. I have zero doubt about it. Zero. I know you're going to hear everybody on the social media saying he'll come back. It's all about the money. He's going to get paid. The only team that's going to pay him is the Packers because they control his rights. So now he's playing with a top 3 NFC team, and he's got a shot to go to the Super Bowl. This guy is a premier quarterback. He is the Archie Manning of the NFL today. Archie, as you know, played on some terrible teams with the Saints, but Archie never got to a good team. Matt Stafford has that opportunity. Wayne, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think, and this is going to sound weird, but I think a lot's going to come down to the defenses that the Rams face, because I question Stafford's ability to throw out of the pocket or on the run. They better have him a good offensive line that's going to be able to protect him so that he doesn't have to do that.
Well, Wayne, they have a great offensive line, the Rams do, and Stafford is a great pocket passing quarterback. And believe it or not, he can roll out and chuck it. What this guy has gone through physically in his career is basically hell. He's going from hell to heaven. That's basically it. He was done in Detroit. They were done with him. It was time to move on. He's making big money, and when you make big money, guess what? Comes big expectations. These teams that are paying quarterbacks big money now in the NFL, a la Kansas City and et cetera, it is tough to win because you paid the quarterback, and now you can't pay everybody else. I know the cap is going up every year, but if you look at it, Tom Brady is taking pay cuts after pay cuts. Now he's making more than he ever has, but he's able to do it with the personnel around him, and he knows he's got to have a good running game and a good defense, or he's not winning the Super Bowl. And Matt Stafford has the personnel around him. Guys, that's the end of the show. JJ, I thank you very much for the no huddle segment. I loved it. Wayne, thank you very much for producing the show as always. Our next show is Friday live at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. BlogTalkRadio.com. Mark Mancini will join us from Los Angeles, and you can listen to the show 1-347-205-9631 or BlogTalkRadio.com. For Wayne in Memphis, for JJ, my sidekick on the other side of the ATL, I'm Todd Corder. Have a great week, everybody.
Get you one. See you Friday, folks.